Sometimes you have to run around the room pretending you're a chicken. I would not do that.
You can't just rely on antidepressants to get you through something. You have to sort of combat it for a longer term solution.
I didn't have my phone. I just remember being super happy all the time. What we're going to talk about as well is the reason I looked into mental fitness was kind of for that reason that you just said then, but also you guys might not know, but Bear Grylls, Dr. Alex George, who was on Love Island, and also another ambassador for them is Jamie Clements, the Breathwork guy, is one of your friends, have released a men's mental fitness app called Be Metal. I think that's how you pronounce it, Mettle. And I started looking into that, and I go into like these holes of just researching random things. It looks so interesting. I was a bit like, do you really need an app to do all this stuff? But I think having everything in one place, where it was like graphs, it was numbers, it was this is your mental fitness score for the day, this is your rest, this is this. I'm not sure how it works. You have to buy it. But I was looking at doing it potentially. I think with someone like me is I love like seeing numbers of like how I'm doing things, because inside I might know I'm doing well, but just to like have that reassurance I am actually doing what I think I am. I think that's really good. And those apps are going to be huge.
Well, they will be, and I think it depends on the kind of brain that you have. If you're more analytically based and you like having graphs and numbers, it can sort of give you that peace of mind. Some people need those sort of words of affirmation. They need like quotes. They need they'll need someone like Bear or Alex George or Jamie to sort of give them inspiration by talking to them or emailing them, whatever. So I think that's where those apps are really good, because it has almost all the above. It has something for everyone in there, and that's why it's sort of Bear's done amazing with his sort of public speaking and helping schools and universities. Alex George has done incredible work as well. Like his work with the government during lockdown was he's doing incredibly well, and his podcast is great as well. I don't know if you've had the chance to listen to it. It's so good. And obviously Jamie as well. Like, they're three amazing people. Jamie's a lot more close to home for me, so I've known Jamie for a while. So we played rugby together when we were sort of kids growing up. He was a very good rugby player as well.
He?
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable, so quick. But then he actually on my phone the other day found an amazing message that he sent me back in 2018 when I put a Facebook. Back when Facebook was more prevalent than it is now, but I put a Facebook status out sharing some stats on mental health and about my journey and basically my coming out, as it were, about sort of my sort of mental health struggles and how I've been suffering for a while. And on the back of that post, he messaged me, and I had so much. The feedback I had was amazing, but the one that stood up for me was him, because he was always someone who struck me as someone who really has stuff together, had his shit together. He was sort of very good. He's so bright at school. Obviously a very good rugby player, like I said, sort of good looking, did well with the girls, like he was popular, but yet beneath it all he was suffering so much for such a long time. He messaged me saying something like, I won't sort of paraphrase it, but basically saying how proud he was of me for coming out and how it sort of inspired him to do the same, and how he was sort of suffering in silence for a while, and he was sort of not that I gave him that inspiration, but he found the courage to be able to talk about it more openly as a result of me doing it, which was just amazing. And all these years later, we look at the work that he's doing in the breathwork space, which we'll come on to, I'm sure, and hopefully we'll have him on as a guest as well. But
fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, no, we will. I'll reach out to him. If you're watching this, Jamie, you'll be on as well. We've got Anna Lee over here.
We've got buddy.
At gunpoint.
Together.
Yeah, they'll be here as well. So the work that he's doing in this space has just been genuinely, he's someone I follow on social media, and the work he's doing is just amazing. So for those that don't know the breath space, check him out on Instagram. He is just doing amazing things. If you are interested in breath work and the benefits that can have for your mental health, is just is amazing. So check him out.
Off the top of your head,
say again?
Does like any benefits or whatever from it?
Everything. Like when I say everything, it's just
I see this a lot. I can't bring myself to do it. Like
I'm in the same boat. So I vowed that when I first started seeing his work that I would make more of a conscious effort to get into that space. Same with yoga. I was like, I'll try it and give it a go and see if it works for me. I'm not very good at sitting still. No, that sounds ridiculous. I'm not very good at just switching my brain off.
Yeah.
So I need things to be able to help me do that, like exercise or music or ice baths and running and stuff. So it's something that I have to force myself to do. And on the back of this conversation, I will try my damnedest to either add one of yoga or breath work to my sort of routine, as it were. And I think obviously having Jamie on would be good to practice that before he comes on.
I'm an ice bath guy. Like, that's not going anywhere.
We speak
nice
about
one,
ice
guy.
baths. I also
I'll try
said-
and not mention it for one
I
episode.
said
I think it's been on every episode.
Can we
now.
go an hour without mentioning ice baths? But and I get so much stick at the rugby club as well. They're like, oh, can you just stop mentioning them? Like we get it. We get it. You go in ice baths. I'm like, no, until you try them, and then come back to me and tell me how good they are for you, and you'll be converted. Because I mean, how many people we've had converted to them thus far? We've obviously using Lumi.
Yeah.
And we've had so many people that
12,
messaged us. 12 people.
Just from using the Lumi stuff alone.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of messages we've had.
Everyone said the same thing. As well.
Everyone said the same thing. They've said this how much it's helped them, and like, you can vouch as well. I mean, sleeping and my work, everything just sort of like Lee. You came back off your travels and you got back in the ice baths, and immediately you're back on top. So it's
part of my routine now.
Yeah,
it's part of my routine. If I don't do it, I'm not right. I don't think. And coming back to the meditation thing before we move on from this is that was kind of the main thing for mental fitness. So I saw when you said that, I was a bit like, I feel the exact same. And I was reading it and I was like, I don't want to meditate. Like I have no interest in meditating. Yeah. I'll do it just to be like, I don't like it. Yeah, to try it.
Yeah.
But this says regular meditation practices can slow the aging process of the brain. Long-term practitioners of meditation have been shown to have more grey matter in several areas of the brain, suggesting that meditation can preserve the brain's youthful structure and functionality. I'm still young, so I don't need to worry about this.
No comment.
But it seems to be like like my mum's type of age. They love that meditation, yoga. Not just that, obviously. You have a lot of people our age doing it too.
Sure.
But the main bulk of it, my mum always comes down. She's like, you have to do it. Like, try it. She's like so much happier afterwards, to the point where I'm like, should I just do it? Or like, it doesn't interest me. But the more I'm reading about it, it's like, I'm going to have to do it.
I think there's something in that as well, though. I think if you are a certain age and you are 21, 22 and you are super, super young, I think once you've reached a certain point in your life where you maybe have you have more of an idea of yourself, and I think you're naturally starting to slow down anyway. I think that's why it appeals to people of a certain age, because like you say, we do have people sort of my age, your age doing it. I think you do at our age or your age have to be a certain type of person to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas if I was your age again and someone said try and do yoga, I would have probably laughed at them and gone, no chance.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to do it. If I sat there and tried, I wouldn't be able to focus and get into that sort of meditative state where you're just sort of slowing everything down, heart rate and breathing and that kind of stuff, which is where I think Jamie could be really good for us to sort of, reach out to him. And because, again, he's same age as me and he's been doing it for a couple of years now, and he is one of, if not the best person I follow in terms of the breath space yoga work and everything that he does, which is just groundbreaking. But to answer your question, I think there's something in being slightly older and maybe having more of an idea of yourself, and maybe you've gone through a lot more, and you're naturally starting to slow down the pace of your life anyway, or maybe needing to, that maybe means that more older people are more into yoga than they are younger people. But I have to give it a go.
Maybe we have to try it. We'll give it a go.
We'll give it a go and let people know. Also, if you are listening to this and you are watching this and you are trying yoga and you are any age, old, young, let us know how you got into it, and obviously what it does for you as well, because we're novices in that space. We would love to know what it does for other people out there.
Yeah, I think it seems so silly when you haven't done it before, but it's always like the ice bath. You're saying to people at the rugby club, like, mate, like, we get it, you're in the ice bath.
Give it a rest.
But give it a rest. It's like, I feel like all these things people push so hard because they're like, please try it, it's so good. But it makes you a bit like, not want to do it, if that makes sense, but almost like, why do I need to do this? Like, and then you do go and do it, and it either works for you.
I would have been that guy about the ice baths.
I still am that guy.
I would have been that guy. Things. Yeah, if I'd seen you posting about ice baths every 5 minutes, I'd have been like, give it a rest. Yeah. Until I tried doing ice baths, and I'm now.
Like, that's why he's posting.
I'm now that guy. I'm now that guy.
One thing when we were just laughing then was that was kind of going to be our next thing. You've been watching Love Island? Or do you not watch it?
Not really, no.
I barely watch it, right? So I'll watch maybe...
Yeah, right.
No, I don't.
You watch it, don't you? You watch
sometimes, it. Yeah, fine. I was watching an episode, it was like the after sun bits, I think. So it's like the clips of the Love Island stuff. So I was watching with my parents. And then there's a guy called Anton Danieluk. And he was basically saying how his mum is a laughter therapist.
Okay.
And I was like, what? And everyone in the villa was like, what's a laughter therapist? And he basically ran through what laughter therapy was. And it's so interesting. It sounds ludicrous. Like, it sounds so silly. But you basically force yourself to laugh in this therapy to the point where you're actually laughing, and it releases endorphins and produces stress-busting chemicals which reduce your cortisol levels. So cortisol is released when we are stressed. It also increases the levels of serotonin in your body, which is also known as the happy chemical, and produces dopamine, which has a calming effect, helping to release tension and anger. I've often heard this expression that laughter is the best medicine, but now I scientifically know why. And I thought that was so interesting. When he was explaining it, he was like, yeah, it's my mum's job. Like, it's really good. And everyone was like baffled. And I remember I was just sitting there like, what is laughter therapy? And yeah, like I said, you literally sit there and you start laughing like until you can't stop laughing. And then it makes you feel better, releases endorphins and stuff into your body.
I mean, it's what people will say it's ridiculous or it's hokey, it's a lot of garbage. It's the simplest form of what everyone makes. You know, whenever you've laughed about something, even absolute hysterics, you always feel so much better afterwards. So actually, it's the simplest form of making someone feel better, isn't it? By laughter. I think when you think about it, when you break it down, making someone smile and happy just makes everything feel better. So if you can release those happy hormones like you were talking about, and I think if there's a therapy out there for it and it works for you, then that's great. Like, that's unbelievable. It's cool.
And
really cool.
I think you were saying as well, the body can't differentiate between real and fake laughter.
Really?
So the body doesn't know.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Either way, if you just can force yourself to sort of fake laugh and turn into real laugh,
interesting,
then it has no difference in how you feel, which I thought was very cool as well.
That's so interesting.
And then
that's so interesting.
Last thing on the laughter therapy, because I thought it was so interesting. Do you guys like my sheet of paper today? I left my computer in a curry house and my notepad, so I'm gonna have to go get it tomorrow. But I've got a little old school sheet of paper for everyone today watching.
You left it in a curry house?
Yeah, so we went after work. Just me and my best mates went for a curry, and obviously had my backpack on with everything in, and I was a couple drinks, and I was like, yeah, can you take my backpack, because it was in the middle of the room. Can I just put it behind? I'll come get it after. The Rajasthan guys, best curry house around. Shout out the Rajasthan. They've kept it. The bag's still there. My brother's gone and collected it today. But basically, put it behind. And then I remember I was leaving. I was going home, and I was like, I feel like super light. Like I feel super light. And then I got like halfway home, and I was like, oh, I've left my laptop with everything we have to discuss today. Everything I have planned for the next few days. That's okay. So I've gone old school. If any of you watched episode 1, I had sheets of paper with Joe, and Joe was the first guest. So this has gone full old school. It's so weird. I've been like trying to read it like discreetly. We normally have a little section of like notes of what's it's not working at all. Just got it in front of the whole camera. But lastly, on laughter therapy. So often in a laughter therapy session, the therapist will ask you to do silly things as a group. Sometimes you have to run around the room pretending you're a chicken or an animal, or you may be asked to tell a funny story. I would not do that.
No,
there's no way. I was feeling
that last bit sounds very American.
If I was feeling
no offense to the Americans
down
out there,
or depressed, I'm not going to run around a room as a chicken.
It's not happening.
Try and make people laugh.
No, we're open to everything on here. We're not judging anything on here, but I think that works best for you. And again, if you're out there listening to this, watching this, and that's something you've done, and you have done the whole sort of not dressing up as, but sort of acting as a chicken that's worked for you, then by all means drop us a line and let us know. But that's something that I probably couldn't envisage myself doing.
I think if I was in a really depressed, stressed out state, and someone asked me to run around the room as a chicken, I'd be like, mate, no.
If my head, that's not happening.
I'd be like, that's not happening. But apparently that's the thing. And you know what? Each to their own. If that works, it must work. Otherwise it wouldn't have been in these days. So people must do it. There's probably people watching this be like, I've done that.
Like I say, if it's worked for you, then let us know. For sure. Yeah.
This is our new segment. This is New News. New News. So this is where we'll be discussing everything mental health and well-being that's new in the news at the moment. And there's a major study that's come out, and this is exercise is twice as effective at treating depression as antidepressants. Just off that headline, what's the first thing you think?
I love that.
Yeah.
I think you know my stance on antidepressants. I'm very on the fence with them. That we've had this conversation a few times beforehand, but I am always going to be the biggest advocate of just moving to make things better, rather than if you have to take sort of drastic measures and you are at the stage in your life where you've tried everything and you have to go down the antidepressants route, by all means do. But I feel like we're so sort of trigger happy just to sort of give kids, I say kids because it's young kids as young as, you know, talking about like 9, 10, 11-year-old, even younger than that.
That's nuts. That they.
I mean, it's terrifying how young children have to be and how young they are, and they're just being given pills to swallow rather than given alternative methods. And exercise is free; it hasn't got to cost anything. Where antidepressants they can do wonders for so many people, and again, there'll be people listening to this and watching this whose lives they've saved, and there's always a space for it. I feel like we're just so quick to sort of medicate and give them a couple of pills to swallow, and then hope that it goes away. And actually, it sort of masks a lot of things and can really suppress a lot of emotions, which can be quite dangerous. Like I said, I'm not saying that antidepressants aren't helpful and they don't save lives, because naturally they do. That's what they're there for. But I do think there's a space where we are so quick, we as a society are just so quick to sort of, label someone as something and just give them pills to swallow. So and you know my stance on exercise, mate. I do it for a living and I've been doing it my whole life, just like you. Is my first and last thing will always be just move and it will help. So I'm not surprised to see the stats on, is it twice the amount?
Twice the amount.
Yeah.
If exercise was a pill, it would fly off the shelves.
It'd be sold out.
It would be sold out everywhere. If exercise was in a pill form, quick and easy, everyone would do it.
It's just hard to do. People just really struggle to sort of get moving, and once you get moving, you realise actually what was all the fuss about. So I know it's easier for some. It's easily accessible for people like you and me, through going to good schools, universities, and having access to sports clubs. But we said this on previous pods as well. Is there's something out there for everyone. I know that's from you and me as sort of rugby players and gym goers. That's not the be all and end all. That's like 2% of what's out there. So there is something out there for everyone. So if you are out there right now listening to this, watching this, and you are sort of someone who sort of struggles with moving, reach out to someone. Reach out to me and Tom. And there is something out there for everyone.
More than happy to help.
Yeah, 100%.
We're going to come back to yoga from this for a second, really. Exercise is twice as effective at treating depression as antidepressants, a study has suggested. Taking just antidepressants improved a person's symptoms by 26%, the study found, while just walking or jogging improved symptoms by 63%. Walking or jogging at least 2 or 3 times a week was considered the best way to improve symptoms of depression, research has revealed. What's your view on that? Just walking. I said this from day one. I just tell you what, I was just thinking then, I was like, why is this? I reckon when you take a pill, people know it's supposed to help you. If you walk, you might not necessarily correlate the two together because you walk around everywhere. And I think if you actively go and you walk and you think this is bettering my mental health, I think you view things differently. But people underestimate free things, and I think it's only when you buy something and there's a bit of value to what you're buying and it's told it's going to help you, that's only when people seem to like trust it, in my opinion.
I think I'm sort of torn on that one, because I think if you're told something will work for you, then I agree. You're sort of more likely to believe them. Therefore, your brain will tell you it's helping, and therefore it helps you sort of in the long run. And for sure, there is something definitely in, if you go for a walk and you tell yourself beforehand it'll make you feel better, it's probably going to help you feel slightly better, because you sort of trick your brain into thinking that it's helping you, and just by actively walking anyway, it helps you sort of physically and mentally, sort of spiritually even, all those things combined to sort of help for being a sort of happier person to be around, for sure. And it does with me and it does with you. I think walking for me and you has definitely helped us. I think there might be people listening to this and watching this who go, well, my auntie, my uncle, my cousin, my brother, whatever, they are so bad and they're in such an awful place that a walk won't be enough for them.
Oh yeah.
There's absolutely a space that those people will be really, really battling. But it's also not to say that you can't do both. You can't just you can't just rely on antidepressants to get you through something. You have to sort of combat it from all angles and go, yes, by all means, be on antidepressants, but look at it as a short-term sort of goal for a longer-term solution type thing and a sort of a stopgap. By all means, just go out on a walk anyway, as well as those things, and you're hitting it from 2 angles rather than one, because obviously there are people out there who are sort of really, really, really battling, and they're sort of on the cusp. And they're sort of thinking that if it's that, it's nothing, or I really need these things. And if you are, then that's horrific. But yeah, for sure, I think just by moving, I think as well, like you said a minute ago, I think just by starting that walk, by going on your, it hasn't got to be a 10K, it hasn't got to be a sort of a marathon, but walking around the block once or twice, take the dog out.
Yeah.
Those things can really help you sort of push to the next step and the next step.
Well.
Yeah, phones. I mean, we'll come on to that in a
Yeah.
minute, but phones for me are they're a big one because I, like you, are guilty of being on my phone way too much.
Way too much.
way
too much.
Yeah.
I was on my phone 7.5 hours of the day. Like on the screen time. When I went to Brazil, I was on it 1 hour 30.
Yeah, mad.
Mate, that's a lot of time I'm wasting on my phone. But I guess all the work and everything's on my phone, so
True.
I don't really have a choice.
Yeah,
You're
true.
talking to people all day. Coming back to this as well is the most effective exercise methods. Well, like we said, walking or jogging, yoga, strength training, and dancing.
Okay, dancing. A few clients of mine do dancing and they love it. Again, average age is going to be older for the most part. I mean, you won't get me going to a dance group, but
Why?
I just couldn't. I wouldn't do it, mate. Like, no. I thought about it for about half a second.
Break
there.
my
No.
ankle like dancers. I'd be awful at it.
No, mate. I don't
Be
know.
cutting shapes.
You've got to get better.
Everyone would be
me
like
out.
dancing. I was be cutting shapes in the corner, little Gangnam stuff.
Yeah. No, I think, like you said, that's covering, I think, all bases as well. I think you've got sort of a definitive for all age groups there. You've got sort of the young all the way through to the old. And I think, I don't know how you feel about this. The whole hybrid athlete thing is really taking off now. I think if you're...
I love the hybrid space.
Oh, it's
huge
huge now.
Yeah.
And it's really, really taking off. And I know you and I've had several conversations about how we take our sort of community into the next step, and that could be into the fitness world.
InsideAMind Run Club.
Yeah, we're going to do this. Yeah, so sort of watch this space. If you are anyone out there and you're a runner living in London, let us know.
If you want to run for your mental well-being or just well-being as general
Yeah,
health,
yeah, 100%.
come along.
Anyone
it's gonna get started.
Yeah, anyone out there
Set it on camera
in
now.
London, or where if you're sort of based in London or Surrey where I am, and you are sort of one, into your mental health, which should be everyone.
Yep.
Especially if you listen to this. And two, if you are into your running, just starting it, beginner as a novice, or you've been doing it for a long, long time, do give us a shout, because we are thinking about doing this, and it's sort of something that we're really taking seriously. Back to what I was saying a minute ago about the whole hybrid thing is, a couple of years ago, I think it was about like the biggest beefcake in the gym was always the most impressive person in there, and who biggest to strongest type of thing. As now it's coming away from that, and it's sort of hybrid work. A lot of people that I follow on social media, like my closest mates, who once upon a time might have been strength is key, and now it's about moving with strength, and it's about moving properly, and it's about being sort of functional fitness more than just
Functional
about
fitness,
sort
that's the word,
of just
yeah.
being a complete sort of who can lift the heaviest weights. So a few names spring to mind. So the Charlie Bolton, so I've spoken to you a little bit about, and he's just a hero in the space as well. He's doing unbelievable work. Elliot Burton, Charlie Smith, Reese Lewis, these guys who once upon a time might have been more involved about lifting the heaviest. Now it's about moving and lifting. It's about sort
Being
of running,
healthy.
cycling, swimming, and with those weights things as well. So that seems to be where the next fitness thing is going, is really heading into if you can master a few disciplines, and that is sort of resistance training, so lifting weights. Added to that, either one of cycling. The most popular one is running. Swimming is definitely less accessible, but running is the new thing, and I'm slowly trying it.
Yeah.
slowly trying it.
Yeah, it is a new space. Talking about strength training, resistance training. Strength training was more effective for women in battling their depressive symptoms, and yoga was more effective for men.
Interesting. Really?
Yep.
See, I thought obviously they were the other way around.
No, I don't have the numbers. That's so annoying.
That'd be mad.
I had it on my computer as well. I had
there
them
you
all
go.
labelled
The
out.
guys in the curry house or something.
Yeah, the guys. Yeah, like, wow, yoga.
He knows his stats. This
He
guy.
knows his stats. This
Yeah.
guy loves to study. But yeah, that's
I
crazy.
would have
I would have flipped them on
convinced.
their head.
I would have been convinced if they're around. Convinced if they're around. But again, that's a cue for us to start yoga, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
What's your view on phones? We just talked on it before. This is our next topic.
In what sense?
Were you big on social media? Like phones
I try.
as a whole.
Well, I think a bit like you. I think I'm. For those that do follow my social media, will know that I'm quite active on it, and I do a lot. I think it's more sort of advertising my work, or it is sort of sharing the ice bar space, or sharing about the podcast and stuff. it's almost impossible to do what you and I do and not be on social media. In fact,
That's a hard thing.
It's probably is impossible because you have to be able to sort of advertise what you're doing.
So this led to the point talking on phones. This is our last part of new news. But schools in England given new guidance in stopping phone use and banning them from schools. I'm not necessarily against that. I think it's a bit awkward though. Like, how can you ban a phone from school? Like, what if your parents picking you up? Like, what if there's a problem? That was kind of my thinking.
Yeah.
I always think worst case scenario. But like in terms of actual mental health, I didn't have my phone at school with me through the whole of primary school, which is like through to year 8, I think. So through to when you're 13. I just remember being super happy all the time. How did you get out of that cycle?
Thing is, you can't because our lives are so integrated into our phone. If the other day the Wi-Fi went down, and I was like, I take for granted that because my phone wasn't working. And I was like, what do I do? And it was
like, what do I do?
Your life comes. I mean, it sounds a bit dramatic. It comes to a standstill. Nothing's different. Nothing's changed.
Views are the same.
One of your mates might have got engaged in that time, which case you can message him. But like otherwise, zero.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. So, sort of my urge to people listening or watching this is that if you are this kind of people like Tom and I, who are reliant on being on your phone for work purposes and socializing, of course. If there are times in the day where you don't need to be on it, don't.
Yep.
Because when you do come back to it in 3 or 4 hours' time, if you do go for that long walk or that lunch with your family, don't take your phone with you, leave it. And you come back and you'll feel so much better when you have things to catch up on and do. And it's quite rewarding, actually.
Yeah, funny, yeah.
Because when I am picking up my phone and no one's messaged me or my family haven't replied to me yet or no one's replied to my Instagram story that I asked for stuff on the podcast, it's a bit like, but I posted it 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And people have other things going on.
Yeah.
So if I look back in a couple of hours' time and have the chance to, and people have replied, I'm like, okay, it's valued.
It's rewarding.
It's rewarding. So
I never thought about it.
Yeah, if you are in that space, try that, and I guarantee it will help. And if it doesn't, then talk to Tom.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed part 2 of 3 of this episode of InsideAMind. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are, please leave us a kind rating. It helps us massively. Here's a bit of what you can expect to see in part 3.
Someone in my family, and I won't name them, has been quite unwell recently, and it sort of lends perspective on time that you maybe wish you spent with them more. This situation just was so unfortunate.
When something does go wrong, I can be like, I don't regret anything.